before. Oma Jimmy, delegate for no. Oma Jimmy Papa, Bawumia no parent ko and you go face. Bawumia is $6 aside. And yeah, campaign abaye. Na who knew not delegate the have a swimming say I will be fear. But to Chasika who.
I stand before you to pledge my support, also to accept the results declared by EC. The delegates have spoken, and I want to plead with my supporters that they should stay calm and respect the results and help all of us to work together.
Welcome back to the community once again, beautiful family. Now, the nation actually watched closely as a key moment unfolded in Ghana's political landscape, ladies and gentlemen. On January 31, 2026, the New Patriotic Party held its presidential primary election. Over 211,000 delegates were actually accredited to cast their votes across the country, ladies and gentlemen. The atmosphere was actually intense and full of hope, hard work, and of course, anticipation. Every supporter waited to see the outcome or results that would actually shape their party's future. Amongst the candidates was Honorable Kent Ohene Agyapong, a veteran politician known for his strong voice in parliament and his long career in public service, ladies and gentlemen. Many of his supporters, of course, his supporters often called Team Ken, were actually deeply involved in his campaign, ladies and gentlemen.
Where are your organic love? Yeah, love. Canada, Japan, or more
They believed in his leadership and of course worked tirelessly for him. As votes were actually counted and results began to actually emerge or appear, one scene caught everyone's attention, ladies and gentlemen. A member of Team Ken was actually seen struggling to hold back tears. Yes, the emotions were raw, ladies and gentlemen. The defeat was real, and of course the disappointment was shared by many within the team. It was actually a reminder that politics can actually be deeply personal. People invite their hopes, energy, and of course loyalty. When outcomes or results are not what they actually expected, emotions naturally surface. Kennedy Agyapong himself, ladies and gentlemen, addressed his supporters after the results. He spoke calmly and of course respectfully, urging everyone to remain composed. He reminded them that politics is not just about winning, it is about serving the people, staying committed, and of course keeping faith through challenges or difficulties. Kennedy Agyapong says in a quote, "I am a veteran politician. I have gone through several defeats. So I have cushioned myself and expected the worst, but the worst is not the end of life. So keep faith and be happy with the outcome." He actually emphasized the importance of resilience, ladies and gentlemen. Life continues, okay, even when ambitions face setbacks or challenges. His words were actually simple but powerful, ladies and gentlemen. They reminded supporters that hard work is never wasted, even if immediate or instant results do not actually reflect it. The first episode ends with the image of a campaign member's tears. It is a moment that captures human vulnerability or weakness in politics. It shows that a public service involves sacrifice, dedication, and of course sometimes a disappointment. Yet it also teaches a valuable lesson here, ladies and gentlemen. The ability to recover, support one another, and of course continue forward is what truly matters. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us quickly discuss the lessons in leadership and of course unity. After the primary results, ladies and gentlemen, Kennedy Agyapong turned his attention to his team. He expressed gratitude for their unwavering dedication. Every campaign involved countless hours of planning, communication, and guess what? Of course, effort. He acknowledged or he admitted these contributions with sincerity. He says in a quote, "I want to take this opportunity to thank Team Ken for the wonderful work you have done. We all admit that we work hard, but God's time is the best. He knows what is good for us." Quotation close, ladies and gentlemen.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Team Ken for the wonderful work you've done. I mean, we all admit we work hard, but God's time is the best. He knows what is good for us.
Now, guess what? His message was not actually about appreciation. It carried a moral lesson about humility and of course patience. Success is very important or very essential, but so is understanding that outcomes or results are often beyond personal control. Political campaigns, ladies and gentlemen, are built on collaboration, teamwork, and of course trust. Each supporter's work contributes to a larger cause, and every setback or difficulty can actually be a step toward learning and of course growth. Kennedy Agyapong reminded his supporters that the future remains uncertain. The world of politics is dynamic or changeable. Today's defeat does not actually define what's on tomorrow. This perspective encouraged his team to maintain hope and, of course, continue their engagement with their party, ladies and gentlemen. It was a message of resilience, one that can actually apply to all aspects of life. The primary also reviewed or exposed the perspective of nature of internal democracy. Alongside Kennedy Agyapong, ladies and gentlemen, other major contenders included Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, Dr. Brian Agyapong, and then Osei Aduchum. Okay, each candidate brought unique strengths and lawyer supported, ladies and gentlemen. The election process demonstrated or showed how a democratic system functions, allowing voices to be heard and, of course, leadership to be chosen through collective participation. As counting continued, okay, it became clear that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia was leading in several strongholds, ladies and gentlemen. Yet the focus remained on the integrity of the process, the respect for rules, and, of course, the commitment of all parties to maintain unity within the NPP. By observing these events, ladies and gentlemen, viewers can actually understand, the importance of discipline, respect, and, of course, cooperation. Politics is more than personal ambition. It is about contributing to a shared vision and, of course, supporting one another even in defeat. Defeat is a difficult reality to accept or to concede, ladies and gentlemen. Kennedy Agyapong's loss in the NPP primaries was deeply felt by Team Ken, ladies and gentlemen, and, of course, supporters nationwide. Emotions ran high, tears flowed. Some members struggled to process the outcome immediately or instantly. These are natural human reactions, ladies and gentlemen. Politics, like life, involves victories and, of course, losses. Kennedy Agyapong reminded his supporters of the value of perspective. Life continues beyond any single event, ladies and gentlemen. He urged them to focus on, the lessons learned and, of course, the connections made during the campaign. He says in a quote, "I know most of you are dejected. You have to keep your spirits up, because once we have life, we have everything. In politics, you can win, you can lose." Quotation close, ladies and gentlemen.
I know most of you are dejected. You have to keep your spirit up, because once we have life, we have everything. So don't be dejected. And the advice I give is, I have taken it coolly, because in politics, you can win, you can lose. Anytime I speak to you guys and tell you we can win, we can lose, you say, oh, win, win. But I'm a veteran politician. So
he encouraged his supporters to channel their energy into positive action, ladies and gentlemen. Every campaign strengthens skills, builds experience, and, of course, fosters leadership qualities that will be valuable in future opportunities. At this point, we will actually like to kindly ask you, okay, our viewers, to like this particular video, subscribe to the channel, and, of course, turn on notifications. Okay, this will actually ensure you stay updated with all development, analysis, and news stories as they unfold, ladies and gentlemen. Your support allow us, okay, to continue bringing clear, neutral, and, of course, informative coverage like this to you. Thank you so much for your understanding. Now, the episode also highlights the human side of politics. Behind every vote, ladies and gentlemen, there are stories of effort, hope, and, of course, dedication. Recognizing this reminds us of the values of empathy, patience, and, of course, respect. Politics is not just about winning, ladies and gentlemen. It is about community, teamwork, and, of course, learning from every experience. Even as Kennedy Agyapong faced his loss, he remained composed. Okay, his approach reflected maturity, understanding, and respect for democratic process. These are qualities that every leader and, of course, supporter can actually learn from, both in politics and, of course, daily life. As the vote counting continued, provisional results confirmed Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's lead, whilst disappointment was real for Team Ken. The focus shifted or changed towards future engagements and, of course, party unity. Agyapong's response emphasized that setbacks or difficulties are part of life, and true leadership is measured by how one handles defeat. The moral lesson is clear, ladies and gentlemen. Life and politics are filled with challenges or difficulties. Resilience, gratitude, and, of course, patience are essential. Leaders inspired by examples, showing their teams how to maintain dignity, respect, and, of course, hope even in difficulties. Agyapong's campaign team, despite tears, ladies and gentlemen, learned lessons about collaboration, perseverance, and, of course, loyalty. Each effort contributes to long-term growth and, of course, personal development. The episode reminds viewers that in politics, as in life, experiences of loss can actually shape stronger, wiser individuals. As in life, experiences of loss can actually shape stronger, wiser individuals. Now, guess what? It is also important, okay, to recognize that claims about resignation or party exit remain unconfirmed. Responsible reporting and, of course, careful verification are essential or very important in maintaining integrity and, of course, trust in media. This moment in Ghana's political history reflects both the human and, of course, democratic aspect of elections. Emotions, dedication, and, of course, discipline all play a role in shaping outcomes or results. Leaders who respond with calmness and, of course, respect teach valuable lessons for society. Finally, we sincerely thank you, okay, for watching this particular video.